in fields of HIV management and what is the impact of our work which we have done so far. So, so as we all know that WHO's priority and the preference for the HIV management is basically to use the single tablet regimen for the HIV management. It's for the better adherence and better management of HIV. But usually what is the issue when we try to merge 2 or 3 different drugs into a single tablet? If there is a particular patent associated with one particular drug that blocks the access of the entire regimen. So this was usually not a problem during early days, during last decades, because most of the drugs during previous WHO guidelines were largely off patent. But of late in the new guidelines, we have seen new drugs which are safer, better in efficacy, and some of these drugs are still under patent. For example, you see tenofovir, emtricitabine, atazanavir, ritonavir, all these drugs are patented, so it becomes very challenging for a generic manufacturer to make a single tablet regimen for these drugs. So to proactively address this issue, various public health stakeholders, including WHO, created and helped in creating an independent body, Medicines Patent Pool, in 2010. So who we are? We are basically a UN-backed voluntary mechanism, and what we try to do is we approach innovator companies to provide their intellectual property on the drug, and we offer it, we pool it in our IP pool, and then we give it out to generic companies so that it enables them to manufacture and develop a new single a single tablet regimen. So what we does is pooling and then working with generic companies to manufacture these drugs, and also because our work involves a lot of work on the forecast is in future which tablets and which drug is going to be used in which region and what are the reasons. So we work with WHO and other public stakeholders in forecast of the new drugs. How we work is basically we approach licensor companies, big pharma companies, and our focus is only on the LMICs, low and middle income countries. We approach them not just on a voluntary or the CSR basis, but also we try to show them the value which these big pharma companies can create in addition to the CSR activity in giving out their licenses to MPP. Parallelly, along with this, what we also do is we work with generic companies and we closely work with all of them to find out if there is any specific technical issues in terms of the development for these drugs. And then we collect the feedback. So we work as a bridge between various public stakeholders, public health bodies, and the pharmaceutical industry, innovator, as well as the generic companies. Since 2010, we have been active in area of HIV, and we have procured almost all licenses for all key drugs in our pool, whether it's first line, second line, or third line. So this is basically a tombstone slide showing various licenses which we have, and we have already given out to generic companies in India, primarily China, and across other countries. This is basically a deal timeline, and various deals which we have done. As I mentioned, we are relatively a new organization. We got established in 2010. In the same year, we have got certain patents on darunavir from US NIH. In 2011, we have got license from Gilead for key drugs including tenofovir, disoprexil, emtricitabine, and other drugs. In 2013, we got a license from ViiV for abacavir pediatric indications. From Roche in the same year in 13, we have got a license and pricing deal for valganciclovir. In December 2013, we have got license from BMS for atazanavir, covering 110 countries. In early 14, dolutegravir, which I'll be talking about in my next slides, we have got the license from VIV. Same year in July, Gilead has given us license for tenofovir alafenamide, which is again a promising drug along with dolutegravir. In same year in 14, AbbVie has given us license for lopinavir, ritonavir for pediatric formulation, then darunavir, then raltegravir, and you see a lot of actions, traction of deal has happened in last 2-3 years. So it's before 2010 also, this voluntary mechanism, voluntary licenses was happening. But what we have tried to build in is the earlier transactions was mainly a commercial basis between two commercial entities. MPP has tried to bring into a public health perspective and cover more public health aspect and the cost aspect here. So for an example, these two circles you see, so Gilead has already given out some licenses to generic companies in India. Likewise, BMS also had a voluntary license arrangements. What we have tried to done after MPP's intervention is to gain the larger access and the larger territory. So if you compare the initial license that Gilead has with generic manufacturers, covers only 95 countries. Our license got extended territory of more than about 117 countries, and we have certain clauses and under certain flexibilities, generic companies can market the products under this TDF in 144 countries. Likewise, for atazanavir, the previous license from BMS covered only 55 countries, while our license have increased the territory up to twofold. So coming back to what's coming up now, in future especially for you it may be important with the evolution of WHO treatment guidelines. This is our estimate of first filing by our generic companies whom we are working with. We expect dolutegravir mono first filing to happen anytime soon now. For triple combination with tenofovir, emtricitabine and dolutegravir, and with lamivudine and dolutegravir, we expect to come as early, first filing to have as early next, January next year. So for TAF FTC, Q2 17, for TAF, emtricitabine and dolutegravir combinations, we expect to have first filing in Q2 17. We are also active in hepatitis and tuberculosis area, and we have license for declatesvir from BMS, for which also first filing is expected in Q4 16. This is a very brief list, short list of the key products which are under development by our sub-licensees, and you may expect these new generation products to come into the market very soon. On hepatitis, this is the list. There are many new formulations which I'll be talking about later in my slides. This graph basically covers the list of companies and list of licenses that we have had in our pool. So you can see there are more than 56 sub-licenses which we have granted. Medicines Patent Pool, being a public health-oriented organizations, does not discriminate between generic companies, although we try to work with companies having good and proven credentials. But within the generic companies, we do not differentiate. The process is transparent of giving out licenses and pretty much audited. So as of now, there are more than 100 plus products which are under development by our sub-licensees. We have almost 13 sub-licensees across the world. So what basically the main impact of MPP that we are trying to create? I will talk about financial impact and the economic impact later in my slide, but the first thing is we encourage, and our first focus is to encourage development of fixed dose combinations. it is the same slide, but I have highlighted a few combinations which was earlier not there, but as a clinician, you may feel that these are the likely combinations which should come. For example, dolutegravir, darunavir, ritonavir. This product is mainly for the private market, but this was not the combination which was developed by the originator companies. For example, TDF, tenofovir disoproxil with lamivudine and dolutegravir. This product is now on the alternative treatment guideline for the first line. The dolutegravir is already there. So it's always beneficial to have a fixed dose combination, but the products belongs to two different companies, and the innovator side we do not expect. So we want a pooling mechanism where we give license to TDF, we give license to dolutegravir to one generic company so that they are able to overcome the IP, patent barriers to manufacture these drugs. Likewise, on hepatitis, you see the sofosbuvir and declotesvir single drug regimen, which we are trying to work on. So the first impact that we are trying to make is access, available access to fixed dose combinations which were not there earlier in the market, and otherwise which would not have been possible because of the IP issues. Second, but the most important, one of the key important aspect is the pediatric. As we have seen in the previous section, the pediatric segment is basically a neglected segment because of very small patient size, and there's not much research work happening on that front. MPP is a founding member of the PHTI initiative, which is basically a collaboration between United, Medicines Patent Pool, DNDi, and CHAI Foundation. We are working together on different objectives, on different drugs to facilitate development. So first the MPP, the key important product which we are working on, a sprinkle formulation or a sachet formulation for abacavir, lamivudine, and efavirenz. We are also working on lopinavir, ritonavir pediatric formulation in a sprinkle format. Same with AZT and 3TC. We are also working on for second line raltegravir pediatric 50 mg dispersible tablet. So these are the projects which we are trying to work on to enable access and medicines for the pediatric segment. Now, so these were the negative impact. Now coming on the financial impact, in the short span of time that we have had from 2010 onward, we have already created an economic saving of $195 million for the overall HIV funding industry, funding sector. We have enabled access to the HIV drug, what we have in our pool, to 119 countries. In these countries, our licensees are distributing generics. After the MPP intervention, 63 new countries have got access to the treatment, to the drugs which earlier were not there, and there is 74% average drop in terms of the formulation price. These numbers are reviewed and audited by the audit agencies, and what we expect for future is by 2028 we expect to save almost $2.2 billion for the HIV sector. Now finally, it's a summary of new formulations which our partners are working on. So you see the number of companies who are developing is in rational to the potential of the market. For example, dolutegravir, which we all see as a very promising candidate for first line. There are 9 generic companies who are working on this formulation, and we expect this to hit market as a very cost-effective price soon. Same for triple combination, a single drug regimen for dolutegravir containing tenofovir and lamivudine, TEF-FTC, TEF-FTC combination with dolutegravir, atazanavir, ritonavir, which is already there in the market. For pediatric, these are the abacavir, lamivudine, efavirenz, lopinavir, ritonavir, liponavir, ritonavir, AZT, 3TC. and raltegravir 50 mg pediatric dispersible tablet. So these are very new formulations, and you see for the smaller market we have less number of manufacturers, so that what we try to do is market should be sustainable. There should not be too much or indiscriminate competition between generic companies, and at the same time the price for which they are offering is also should be according to the market condition, that nobody should earn more than what they should in this. For hepatitis, we are working on primarily daclatasvir and its combination with sofosbuvir. In last, this is a broad overview of HIV pipeline, which will drive our future licenses and focus. So we see on the phase 3 there are attractive new combinations which are coming, and this is a pipeline of hepatitis C. So slides should be available in the deck. That's all from me. Thank you, Dr. McDonald.
You with the lights in our eyes.
Yeah, thank you. Why, like all pharma in India has stopped to make nevirapine suspension? What are the, because what's happening that in private, if anyone do not want to go to public sector, they don't have access for the syrup nevirapine, which is really very unfortunate that we have to send compulsory those patients to public sector, and may they not get the access to that suspension. So my request, humble request, that please make nevirapine and lopinavir ritonavir suspension. Just forget about profit in that particular segment, but please make those two drugs, which we are using for basically PPTCT transmission. Yeah,
understand. So I'll take this as a feedback, and we'll see what is the need of nevirapine. Basically, our focus is to work on the drug for the future, and that's where we have lopinavir, ritonavir, and 4-in-1 combinations coming out.
Actually, in 1992-93, when we didn't get pediatric formulations, we used to send mothers to Goldsmith, asking them to divide one tablet into 16 pieces with 10 milligram and come back with that. And we, after 25 years also, we are doing the same thing. Because he's talking only about nevirapine. Currently, none of the pediatric formulations are available except Zidovudin by one company. So because it is not sustainable for them, it is not profit making for them, and government has not done any compulsion on them. Like what government should have done is asking them, if you want license for other products, you manufacture this as a social service, and then you can get other license. Coming on dolutegravir and TAF from MPP, you have been putting this deadline for a long time. We were also expecting that at this conference, this TAF and dolutegravir will launch. Sometimes what happens is, when we go abroad, we see some other companies from India which are not known to any one of us, and they are there in a big way, and they are given license or big some contract. So I don't know how this license business happens, number one. Number two, while giving license, there has to be some connect with the DCGA, that is Drug Controller General of India. And on 2 occasions or 3 occasions I was there as expert with DCGI. They are such a nut organization. They don't understand anything. And sometimes I tell them, are you in the working in the interest of India or against the interest of India? What they are asking, each of these pharma companies, that you do Indian trial in Indian patients. Now who will do Indian trial in Indian patient? Spending on one trial, they have to spend 2 crore rupees. So the product which has been already patented by or sub-patented by MPP, they should have been easily given, but it is not done. So that is the issue.
So, sorry, let me just respond to Dr. Gilada's observation. Yes, you're right, and precisely these kind of challenges that we are also facing, because as a licensing organization, what we can do is to make the products and the license IP available, but we are not just stopping on that. Our work in India, especially with the Indian generic pharmaceutical companies, starts from once we give out the license. So we are closely working with all our generic partners who have taken licenses from us to make sure that the product development should be on track. And yes, these are technical and regulatory issues which we are facing. So we are trying to collaborate with them in a way that we can help from the from the external public health sectors and the community to convince and to explain various regulatory authorities about need of these drugs. Yes, but your observations are very correct, Dr. Glenn.
In India, left and right, we are using triple drug combination, tenofovir, lamivudine with efavirenz.
Yes.
But ideally, based on pharmacodynamics, efavirenz has good bioavailability if it is taken in empty stomach.
Yeah.
Whereas tenofovir has poor bioavailability if it is taken in empty stomach and is good availability taken after stomach, after food. So, but we are using left and right this triple combination. How can we substantiate this fixed dose combination? Are we ourselves, without knowing, we are inducing any drug resistance? Because we are tenofovir and the efavirenz has to be taken. One has to be taken in empty stomach. One has to be taken after food.
Yes.
But we are giving all the this drug efavirenz, tenofovir or lamivudine or with emtricitabine. We are giving this triple combination either before food or after food.
Yeah.
Either one won't work.
Yeah, I understand your question that you have the concern on one drug in this combination and the other drug taken together as a single tablet. Unfortunately, I am not able to comment on that aspect because that's something, the drug is already there on the WHO guideline. So our work is to facilitate whatever is there on the WHO guidelines because we are a part and related organization. Coming as a solution, because for the next future, now our focus is to move from efavirenz to dolutegravir, and we are trying to work on how soon that can happen. Ideally, I believe that should solve part of your concern. Thank you.
Sir, you have to be brief in the question and the answer. We are running out of time.